People of Reddit, what was your biggest oh shit moment? Copy/pasted some, very descriptive dialogue from some erotica I had been writing into the group chat with all my in-laws instead of a link to a meme. My wife was out of state at a funeral, leaving me with our 1-year-old daughter. I walked out of the kitchen on Sunday morning to find the baby drinking a bottle of infant Tylenol. I have no idea how she got it, or how she got the child-proof cap off. A child-sized dose is only 3 milliliters. Cue me calling poison control with an ER nurse on hold, frantically trying to put my shoes on. My 2-year-old did this. I have no idea how he got the bottle open. The nice nurse explained to my panicking self that they purposely make the child-sized bottles small enough so that if a child were to somehow drink the whole thing it's not a toxic amount, and that's why they're usually portioned into 2 bottles in a package. Sure enough, the amount he drank was under the dangerous level for his weight. It was a till moment, so that's why it's always 2 bottles instead of 1 big one. Because children lol. This is a positive oh shit moment. A few years ago when I was at a pretty severe low with OCD, I had this epiphany that trying to solve the thoughts and feelings never accomplished anything for me. At that moment I clearly realized that if I could just let those things spin freely separate from what I choose to think about and do, then I'd be free. It's taken a lot of work, but those principles have helped me to live the life I want. Finding a painful lump in my ballsack. Thought I had cancer for sure, but it turned out to be a tiny 3rd testicle that had gotten irritated somehow. I went into the doc expecting to come out less a ball, instead I have a spare now. When I was accidentally shot in the thigh when I was downrange setting targets up. An archer here, I once shot myself in the hand. I was tilting my bow too far to the left, the arrow slid off and I let go of the string anyway. Luckily, I was young at the time so I was only trusted with training arrows. Got a cool scar though. Years of academy training wasted. When my husband was driving me to the hospital to give birth, it was such a mindfuck moment, realizing that it was the last time with just me and my husband. And the next time I would go home I would have a baby with me. For me, the oh shit moment came when we checked out of the hospital after the birth of our first. It's like you're going to let me take this tiny human home when I have no earthly idea what to do with him? I really didn't want to leave. Realizing after getting home from my first week at a new job at corporate headquarters that I left my wallet with my new company credit card, license, personal credit card, and $100 cash in the back of the seat on the airplane. I got it back but it took a month. I had to tell my new boss that I already lost the company card, which had around a $30,000 limit. Good times. What happened? Were they pissed? Not really. Maybe slightly annoyed. They canceled the card and I got a new one. I've since moved on to a new job at a new company and I don't have a card to worry about. When I thought I had sprained my ankle, then 2 days later it swelled to 3x its normal size and started turning black. I had actually broke my foot in 6 places. I sprained my ankle by stepping in a really deep hole in a field. I couldn't walk for 2 days. I didn't have insurance so never got it checked and worked a 60-hours work week after my 2 days off because my work was short-handed and I need the money. My ankle was never the same, I could crack it on command. Fast forward 3 years, I break my leg and when they were doing the x-ray I actually cracked off both the little nubs that form the socket for my foot. How I broke my leg there was no chance it did any damage to my ankle so I just never brought it up and they assumed it all happened at the same time. I'm a pre-K, 3-year-old, teacher. Started panicking because I only counted 7 children following me instead of the usual 8. Thought I was going to jail and everything. I was holding the 8th child in my arms. Mornings are fun. Was driving south on 95 through Virginia. A car was doing over 100 and I followed it but from really far behind. A cop car was hiding in median in the trees. He came flying out and almost sideswiped me. We were face to face for a second. I thought he might pull me over afterwards, but he just went after the first guy. But it was so close to us clipping each other at high speed. Coming out of a test and realizing my calculator was in radians. But don't radians and degrees give massively different results? Like, you could eyeball the results and say what? Nowadays I would see something is wrong as you said ha. However, in my college freshman years I was really interested in spending as little time as possible in a classroom, even less doing a test. Eventually I got a liking for what I'm studying, so oh shit moments like that became less frequent. When I heard my dentist say oh shit while over tightening my dental implant. When I heard the oral surgeon say oh shit with a scalpel in my mouth. Painfully found out afterward they cut a slit in my gums on the opposite side of my mouth. Greater than underscore less than. It's more of an oh shit that happened to me. I was having a standard cardiology test where they were trying to get my heart to recreate an event that had previously happened. My heart wasn't cooperating and the doctor told the nurse to put something in my forehead to raise my heart rate in hopes of recreating the event. I immediately felt like I had just run at full effort for 10 minutes and my heart was beating so hard and so fast, and I assume out of rhythm, that I began to black out. The nurse and the doctor started yelling something that I honestly can't remember, and then a crash cart was brought in and they gave me something else that brought my heart rate down. I have episodes of tachycardia and bradycardia as well as having a sinus arrhythmia and periodic atrial fibrillation. Edit. After googling the shit out of this because I honestly hadn't thought about it until today and forgot what it was called, I believe it was a tilt table test and the drug the nurse put in my forehead was isoproterenol and she either gave me too much or I had a bad reaction to it or both. Edit DOS. It sounds like some of you have had fun experiences with this test. I hope you're all doing alright. Good night you all. When my blood work came back and my GP stared at it for a long while, then said he would refer me to a hematologist, but then he threw his arm around my shoulder and said, "I'll pray for you." He had never said or done anything remotely like that. Felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. Edit. Sorry, no, I'm not dead. I have autoimmune diseases and they mistook it for some kind of blood cancer because everything about my blood was just wrong. Doctor scared my ass off very badly. I guess it's kind of ironic in a comment about my doctor being unnecessarily ominous, that I neglected to mention that I'm okay-ish now, just chronically ill on lots of medicine. When I texted my wife complaining about what a nasty bitch my mother was acting like, only to realize I had texted it to my mother. Ah, that sensation of breaking out into a cold sweat because you know what happened and yet it's 2 seconds too late to take it back. Realizing I left food on table when I went traveling, 5 weeks later we come back and it's filled with worms. Sounds like extra protein to me. I had a thyroid nodule biopsy at the end of 2017. They said if the result was benign, they would email me. 6 days later, they called me. Oh shit, cancer-free for 2 years on Saturday though. Yeah, I've learned with doctors if they call, it's serious. If they call as soon as possible after the test is done, it's very, very serious. I was sent home from the ER one time because I was just dehydrated. As soon as I closed my front door they called me saying I had to come back. It wasn't too serious though. I had air trapped in the tissue of my throat that made me feel like I was having an allergic reaction. Couldn't breathe, lightheaded, voice sounded funny. Resolved in 2 days with antibiotics. Defiantly unsettling when they tell you to go back ASAP with no reason. When the doctor at the urgent care told my mom to quote go straight to the emergency room, you don't need to pay for this visit. The same thing happened to me. I took my son to urgent care because of a lump under his arm. The doctor took one look, said I'm calling the ER right now, go straight there. You don't owe us anything. Turns out he had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's fine now. Is she okay? More like am I okay? She took me there because I had appendicitis. Last night when the tornado sirens went off in Middle Tennessee, my house just barely missed the flight path. Homes ripped to shreds, people dead and missing, and still no power. I don't think I've ever been so scared holding on to my kids. Edit. Thanks for all the replies. Me and my family are safe, but friends weren't so fortunate. It's really hard to see all of these people's homes destroyed so close to my own, but the community is really pulling together and already have made tremendous progress on restoring power, and making sure that families affected are safe and have what they need. Can't lie though, I'm still a bit shook up. Kinda feels like a bad dream. Also the green light thing, I was seeing large green flashes of lights in the sky. This was due to explosions near the interstate. Many power poles were exploding and businesses were catching fire. I think it was electrical explosions. The time I was taking a shower, and the shower control broke off as I was adjusting the temperature, not just the handle, but the mechanism it controlled. Hot water came gushing out of the wall, and there was no shut-off valve for it. The only way to stop the water was to turn off the main valve for the whole house. Biking down a short but steep hill doing 30 miles per hour to keep up with traffic. Driver about 3 cars ahead of me stops abruptly at a crosswalk. I lay onto my brakes but feel my wheels start to slip. Instantly had that sense of time slowing down to the point where I could make reasoned and considered decisions. Looking ahead, I could run into the car ahead of me, attempt to shoot the gap between the cars and the curb but also risk hitting the pedestrian in the crosswalk, or I could go down on the grassy verge. Decide that the last option looks best for everyone, but then realize that there's a tree in my way. Managed to roll into the fall so that my shoulder and rib cage took the impact. Didn't even hit my head. Ended up a little battered, especially since I jammed my pinky in the ground, but after sitting around to recover my breath I managed to ride home not too much the worse for wear. No broken bones and I only had to take 1 day off of work, though it was a while before my finger wasn't sore and stiff. I was in high school and my BF was driving me to work in a snowstorm. It was really slippery out and we were in a tiny car. Looked up, saw a full-sized truck with a trailer behind coming towards us. It made a left turn in front of us. No way we could stop in time. I said oh shit, fainted, spiderwebbed the windshield with my head, woke up in the ambulance once and then again in the hospital. Headache for almost a month. Do you have any stories for telling us? Leave a comment. And subscribe to this channel if you want to see more same videos.